Imagine this. You check in at a hotel in the beautiful state of Los Angeles, California, and you check out as one of America's most mysterious murders. This is Bunked Files, and today we will be chatting about the horrid case of Elisa Lam at Cecil Hotel. The deeper you go, the less sense it makes, and that's exactly why we're still talking about it. Let's start with the moment that broke the internet. The elevator video surfaced as a creepy, unsettling video. 4 minutes of footage. No sound. No explanation. Just Elisa Lam alone in an elevator, pressing buttons like she's in a panic, stepping in, stepping out, hiding in corners, waving her hands like she's talking to someone who isn't there. At first glance, it looks creepy. At second glance, it looks wrong. At third glance, it looks like something that's worrisome people slowed it down, zoomed in, analyzed every movement like it was the Zapruder film. Was she being followed? Was she hiding? Was someone just outside the frame waiting for her? Or was this something else entirely? Here's the unsettling part. The elevator never moves during the video. Not because it's broken, but because someone hit one too many buttons on the control board, triggering a safety delay, which means Elisa wasn't trapped. She stayed, and whatever she thought was happening, it wasn't forcing her to run. Now here's where it gets darker. Because this wasn't just a regular hotel. This is the Cecil Hotel we are talking about. It already had a bad reputation before Elisa even arrived from San Diego, where talking decades of suicides, murders, overdoses, and has even been occupied by infamous serial killers. For example, the Night Stalker, aka Richard Ramirez. He occupied room 1402 in the year of 1985 during his murder sprees. Imagine booking a hotel because it's affordable and central, only to realize you're sleeping inside a Wikipedia crime section. This wasn't a luxurious stay. It was a survival lodge. Elisa wasn't even in a private room at first. She was sharing a hostel-style floor with a stranger, which raises the first major question. If something went wrong, how did nobody hear or see anything? Because after that elevator video, Elisa vanished. No luggage taken, no checkout, no goodbye, just gone. Days passed, then weeks, until guests started complaining, not about noise, not about crime, but about the tap water. People said it tasted weird, it looked dark, smelled wrong. Some guests said the showers ran black. Maintenance was called to check on the water tanks on top of the building, and what they found on the roof of the Cecil Hotel would permanently scar this case. Inside one of the hotel's water tanks was Elisa Lam. She was nude and decomposing, floating in the same water guests had been drinking and living day-to-day life, with the roof was locked. The tanks were heavy, and there were no alarms triggered, which leads to fact 1, the most disturbing truth people miss. Elisa didn't just end up in the tank, she had to climb up, access the roof, open the hatch, and get inside, alone, or not. And before you jump to conclusions, here's where the case gets slippery, because the official ruling says one thing, and the evidence whispers another. The coroner ruled Elisa's death an accidental drowning, citing bipolar disorder and possible psychotic behavior. No trauma, no assault, no signs of struggle. Case closed. Except, the hatch to the tank was reportedly found closed, and Elisa was not a strong swimmer. And no one could explain how she accessed a secured rooftop unnoticed. So either this was a tragic accident fueled by mental health struggles, or one of the quietest, cleanest disappearances in modern true crime. And here's the transition you should be asking yourself right now. If this was truly accidental, why does every single detail fight that conclusion? Because once we dig into Elisa's mental state, medication, and behavior leading up to that night, things don't get clearer, they get worse. Let's talk about the explanation everyone rushes to, and why it both explains everything and somehow explains nothing. Because once investigators looked into Elisa Lam medical history, the narrative shifted fast. Elisa had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. She was prescribed multiple medications, and toxicology reports showed something super important. Some meds were missing from her system, which led authorities to suggest a manic or psychotic episode. Paranoia, hallucinations, disorganized thinking, and on paper that tracks. Erratic elevator behavior, confusion, impulsivity. But here's where the story refuses to behave, because people experiencing manic episodes don't usually become strategic, and Elisa was doing something very, very specific that night. Hotel staff and guests reported Elisa acting polite, coherent, even social earlier that day. She spoke with employees, visited local shops, left notes for roommates. This wasn't someone spiraling uncontrollably for hours. Which brings us to fact 2, the part that doesn't fit the mental health only explanation. Elisa knew the hotel was unsafe. She had complained about roommates, she requested to be moved, and the hotel complied, which means she was aware. Alert. Capable of advocating for herself. So how does someone go from self-aware and communicative to climbing onto a locked rooftop at night and entering a water tank? That's not impulse behavior, that's navigation, which raises the next uncomfortable possibility. Let's talk about the roof. The Cecil Hotel roof wasn't designed for guests. It required restricted access, multiple doors, stairs, alarms. Hotel management later claimed the alarms were faulty, convenient. But even if that's true, someone unfamiliar with the building would still have to find the correct path, in the dark, without being seen. And here's the detail people gloss over. Elisa was very afraid of heights. And yet she allegedly climbed a ladder, stepped onto a platform, and entered a confined metal tank. That's not panic, that's commitment. Which leads us to fact 3, the timing. The elevator video wasn't released immediately. It was edited. About a minute was removed. The playback speed was altered, and the timestamp was missing. Authorities said it was done to protect the integrity of the investigation. The internet said something else, because editing evidence, even for procedural reasons, destroys trust, and once trust is gone, speculation fills the vacuum. People noticed Elisa's gestures looked like she was responding to someone. Others claimed shadows appeared. Some insisted the doors were being held. Rational explanations exist for every single detail. But here's the problem. When you need 10 explanations to justify one video, something's off. And the most haunting part? The elevator doors close. And Elisa is never seen again. No camera footage. No sightings. No witnesses. She doesn't reappear until she's already dead. Now let's pause here, because this is the exact point where the case splits into two camps. One side sees tragedy amplified by internet obsession. The other sees negligence, cover-ups, or worse. And the Cecil Hotel? It sits quietly at the center of it all. A building with a history of death, a staff used to chaos, a system that had failed people before. So here's the transition question that matters most. If this was a tragic accident, why does it feel like the truth was rushed instead of found?